You're about to hear Kevin Lawson and Sean O'Shaughnessy unpack one of the most overlooked drivers of sales success: embedding qualification methodologies directly into your CRM. Instead of relying on scattered spreadsheets and disconnected notes, they'll show you how to make your CRM the engine of sales processes, revenue management, and value selling. Along the way, you'll hear real stories of deals that slipped through the cracks simply because critical buyer approvals weren't identified early enough. If you're serious about sharpening your sales strategies and ensuring every opportunity is managed with business acumen, you won't want to miss this conversation.
If you haven't listened to last week's episode about qualification methodologies, go back and listen to that one first. It's 15 minutes on understanding a qualification methodology. This week is going to build on that. Where do you use it in your CRM? Because using a qualification methodology allows you as a salesperson to know where you are in the deal because you've qualified the timeline, and also maybe what doors are still slightly cracked or open and not fully closed in your process. So again, if you haven't listened to last week's, go back and listen to the qualification methodologies, and you'll decide what qualification methodology might fit your needs. And in the show notes from last week, there's actually a link to an article that outlines a bunch more qualification methods. Acronyms is what you can also see them as, with descriptions from the blog from HubSpot. So Sean and I don't endorse any specific CRMs, but that was just a good blog article, so additional resource for you. For this week, we want to deeper dive into the subject of how does this methodology show up? Because what we don't want you to take away from this is, hey, I've got a CRM and I've got this qualification methodology. And you don't want that to end up being like an Excel spreadsheet that's not connected to your CRM. So we're going to blend best practices with utilization, and as a salesperson, how to know where you are in the deal using a methodology. And as a sales leader, what questions to ask your sellers to make sure and ensure their forecast pipeline and deal progress is good. Sean, always good to be on the line with you here.
This is a great conversation, and you're right. We didn't have enough time last time to talk. I might have talked about a book too long, but that's okay. It's a good book. Go back and listen to it. So when you're trying to put a qualification matrix or qualification list or whatever into your CRM system, it goes under the same philosophy, and maybe we should do a podcast on this, about getting all your data in one place so that all of your salespeople can know what's going on and they don't have to go 15 different places to find something. But when you have your process steps, your process stages, and hopefully you have 5 to 8 steps that you've identified in your sales process that take you through I found a customer, I have a lead, all the way to I closed a deal. There should be at least 5 to 8 of those. And with your qualification matrix, you want to get the qualifications done in the first 1, 2, or 3 steps, because the last 2 or 3 steps, or 4 or 5, whatever it is, the last half, you want to be closing the deal, and you want to get rid of customers that you can't sell to or shouldn't sell to, or they just aren't going to buy. You want to get rid of them as soon as possible in your sales process stages. So one of the techniques that I like to use is there's usually one big question that needs to get answered in every one of the acronyms in that HubSpot article that Kevin was just referencing a second ago. There's usually one big question for every letter. Maybe there's 2 in some cases, but for the most part, one big question that has to get answered. And so I like to put that question into my CRM system. Most CRM systems will let you put in a custom field or 2. Most of them actually will let you put in a lot of custom fields, and most modern CRMs. So in your CRM, you should put those questions. And the bigger your sales team, and now I'm talking to the leaders, the sales leaders, the company owners, and in your sales CRM system, if you have 3 or 4 or 10 sales people, you really want to enforce that they know that information at a certain point of the selling process. So in step number 2 or step number 3, and I'm not going to bother defining what that might be in your company, but in step number 3, we want to have these 4 questions answered, or these 3 questions, or whatever. So most CRMs now will actually say you can't move it from one stage to the next without answering that question. Not every CRM will do that, but most of them will now. And if your CRM doesn't, that might be a reason to get a different CRM, to be honest. But that is a great way to enforce that you're answering the questions. It's also a great way to say, you don't need to have another Word document or Excel spreadsheet that's sitting off to the side that you have to understand, because it's all in the CRM. It's a great technique for doing it. I encourage it as much as possible. We just mentioned HubSpot. HubSpot will let you do that. Pipedrive will let you do that. Salesforce will let you do that. There's a bunch of them out there that'll let you do that. Membrane will let you do it. We've had the chief revenue officer for Paul Filler, Membrane. He'll let you do that too. So there's a lot of CRMs out there that will let you go through that and make that happen and force questions get answered by this step. Kevin, are there any other ideas that might help somebody other than an Excel spreadsheet and maybe embedding them?
So please, oh, please, oh, please evacuate Excel spreadsheets from your solution guide. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek because I love Excel. I think in spreadsheet, but for the purposes of this discussion, when we're thinking about getting all of our data into one place, we want to try and strenuously avoid having third-party apps that are disconnected from your system. So I want to lean in right now, and for all you salespeople and leaders right now, I'm going to do something that most of us don't think about doing a lot, and that's engaging marketing. So for tomorrow, when you get into the office, you don't have to have them listen to the previous episode about qualification methodologies, but have them listen to this part. We're at about the 6-minute mark in this episode, so you can even fast forward it and shrink the time here. But sales leaders and salespeople, because you have a qualification methodology embedded in your CRM, and your CRM has a sales process mapped to the buyer's journey, now we can start saying things like, hey, Mr. Mrs. Marketing Leader or person doing the marketing, I need some collateral that is aligned to help me draw out this qualification in this sales step. And when we do things like that, we align sales and marketing. So if you've listened to Sean and I for long enough, you've heard us both say, everybody needs a goal. Sales and marketing need aligned goals. Holy cow. If you don't have a sales and marketing aligned goal, there's a real opportunity to make a big difference in your company. Marketers can have revenue goals. Now, that may not be closed won. It may be pipeline additions. It may be sales accepted leads, meaning, hey, my sales and marketing teams are aligned to attract and make aware the right type of prospect. The ones who come into our funnel and are ready to have a budget authority need timeline or a metrics with an economic buyer and an impact and a paperwork process and decision process champion. We've got all the acronym related letters in our sales process that it is designed to walk a buyer down their journey, and we have marketing collateral to support it. Now, fun story time. Sean, I'm going to ask you in a second about a time where you had a deal late stage and you could blatantly tell a bunch of steps had been skipped. I'm going to go first on this one and say, I was working with a group of sellers that knew better, and they had a lot of late stage deals. And the first month they pushed out was when I started working. They're like, hey guys, why is this pushing? They didn't get their internal approval processes. They didn't get the board approval. And I said, wait a minute, gang, we're late in the deal process here. Didn't we know that there's a board approval process here? Oh, we found that out late. You didn't do the qualification of the authority, because the authority is the board approval in this case, which means we should have asked that question earlier. Now, these were seasoned sellers. Maybe they got blindsided by that. I gave them a pass. But then they said, here's our proposal. And I said, let's run through it right quick. Let's do a quick analysis of what we're going to present and anticipate some questions. This is a sales leader kind of behavior where you say, let's pretend we're in the meeting. I'm going to ask you all the hard questions, so when they ask them to you live, you're not caught off guard, right? We're preparing our sellers to be successful as a good sales leader. Slide number 1, guess what it was? Hint, it started with about us. And I said, that's an interesting way to open up a discussion with somebody you're proposing to. Now, for those of you out there listening who may have your first slide is about us or our culture or our history or something that they probably already know, if that's the first time they're seeing this, that's out of order. So again, I'm going to refer back to the qualification methodology and a sales process, and marketing, these are early deal stage things that should be surfaced. You don't put case studies first. Case studies go last. They're proof points. They're solidifying the decision that they're making the right decision by selecting you because you've done this, you're proving it. About Us culture, we've been in business since 1942, is an early stage admission of age, right? It's a data point. So when we're thinking about all these things, that was a blatantly obvious out of lockstep deal. And it wasn't marketing influence. I could tell they hadn't used marketing with this because a marketer is going to tell you, hey, that should go early, and late we should be talking about proof points, ROI alignment, and deal alignment to needs outcome, right? So if you're in that stage, take a critical eye. Sean, you and I have a buddy in Jim Costello. He says, take an intellectually honest approach to your collateral and make sure it fits the right deal stage. Sean, you've got to have a good, juicy example of an obvious out of order one.
I have been, ever since you warned me you were going to ask me the question, I have been just sitting on the edge of my chair. I realize nobody can watch me. This is an audio only podcast, but like I've been itching to go to tell you the story. Last week, I said there was a difference between medic and med pick. The P was very important. And people say, why do you use the one with the P? And this is the story. And I get this all the time. This isn't like an occasional thing. It's the end of the quarter. We have 1 week left in the year. And we're expecting the order because we've won the deal. We beat the pants off of our competition. We're going to win the deal. Everybody at the customer is excited. And I'm looking at the salesperson at that deal and I'm saying, when are we going to get that deal? When's the purchase order going to come to us so that we can count it as a revenue opportunity? Real soon, we're getting it all signed and they're going to sign off on the process and blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, great. Who has to sign? Oh, Jerry has to sign. What's Jerry's title? Jerry's the director of IT. Oh, okay, good. Check with him the day later. Jerry has signed. But Jerry said, oh no, didn't you know I have to send it over to Steve? Steve is the VP of supply chain. He has to sign off on this because this is in his budget. Oh, well, we didn't know that. And then we find out that after Steve has to sign off on it, on the purchase order that's going to come out of his budget, oh, now the legal department has to approve all of our legal contracts that we are going to have to implement for this project. And the legal department is headed up by Mark, and Mark is an outsourced legal counsel trying to bill by the hour. And he's also got 16 other clients, and we don't know when for sure he's going to get around to doing it. Long story short, we don't get the order in the quarter. It's the last week of the quarter, and we just missed on that order. Knowing your paperwork process, knowing how the customer buys, they've already decided to buy. We sold the deal. We're high-fiving. What people that aren't high-fiving is our accountant, because we don't get to count the money and do any billing because we can't get the order in the door until 3 days into next quarter. And there is nothing worse than missing your quarterly number because you didn't know how they were going to buy. Now, could you have changed it? Could you have shortened it? I don't know. Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't, but at least you could have predicted it. At least you could have warned everybody that, hey, if we don't get this all done and get this locked in and get that paperwork process started 2 weeks before the end of the quarter, we're not going to get the deal in. And that is just not a one-time occurrence. That happens on a regular basis. I think that I would say one order every quarter suffers from that problem of, yeah, we're done, we won, but we're just not going to get the order in time for our quarter. And you know what? Most salespeople get paid because of the quarterly revenue. They have a quarterly bonus. They have a quarterly commission. They have monthly commissions. That just slipped. And you might not get paid till after Christmas now because the way your commission plan gets paid out, you may not get paid till after Christmas. Sorry for you. That's too bad.
Or you may have missed a tier in the current quarter to maximize your bonus. So all these things happen to people, but they don't have to. And the reason Sean and I do this podcast, the reason we are in this profession is so that we can help people build better, more reliable, sustainable sales organizations. Back to what we started with, having a qualification methodology mapped into your CRM that follows a sales process aligned with a buyer's journey, not your sales process, your buyer's journey, supported with marketing resources, gives you a fully wrapped system that is usable by any new person you add to your organization, by all people currently in your organization. And guess what? It prevents this call from your CEO. Hey, what's the status of insert deal name? Because if they're having to go do that, you have not done your job as a salesperson or leader to get that relevant information into the CRM. So we're going to sign off here at the 15-minute mark because that's our commitment to you. But I hope your commitment to yourself now is to build better sales processes and best practices into your organization by using a qualification system, a sales process, and a CRM, and go talk to marketing. They want to help. With that, happy selling.
What a powerful episode. Today, Kevin and Sean showed us why eliminating Excel spreadsheets from your sales process and consolidating everything into your CRM isn't just about convenience. It's about clarity, consistency, and building a sales organization that truly scales. I especially learned a lot about how sales leaders can enforce discipline by requiring key qualification questions to be answered before a deal can move from one stage to the next. That technique alone ensures you never get blindsided late in the process by missing approvals, lost paperwork, or hidden decision makers. They also gave us a significant actionable item: embed your qualification methodology directly into your CRM. This one move creates alignment between sales and marketing, sharpens your messaging, and sets your team up for predictable revenue generation. Don't put it off. Make the change today before it gets buried under tomorrow's urgent tasks. If you need more help with sales strategies, sales management, or simply growing your business, remember that Sean and Kevin's contact information is in the show notes. And don't forget about the B2B Sales Lab, a dynamic community where salespeople and sales leaders share best practices, find answers to real-world challenges, and access resources designed to help you make your number. The link to join is right there in the notes. We'll be back with another impactful episode next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, happy selling!